Horror as a genre allows us to tackle extreme and intricate topics, using fear as an emotional tool to hammer those themes home. In 2007, a movie was released on the SYFY channel that explored a number of topics. Man versus man.
We're insane!
Man versus nature. Snowmobile versus spider. And actor versus acting.
What the heck is Dash doing out there?
He's trying to get in, you idiot.
That movie is Ice Spiders, and this is worth the watch. Ice Spiders actually has a very special place in my heart. That's how stupid my childhood was. Let's flash back to when I was 13 years old. You see, when I was 13, my parents had a rule. I was allowed to watch any movie as long as it was rated R for sex or nudity, but none that were rated R for violence. This was to show me that sex and nudity was normal, whereas violence was an evil creation of man. The outcome, however, was making me crave violence, while making sex something boring and normal that my parents were okay with, like eating vegetables or hanging out with the kid across the street who has asthma. So I had to sneak my violent movies, and Ice Spiders was one of those movies I taped on my parents' TiVo. On a rewatch, it really expanded my mind into what is possible in filmmaking, and that's why I think we should cover it on Worth the Watch. Let's dive in. Ice Spiders starts on a mountain in Colorado with two hunters.
You know, when we get back to town, I'm going to find that guy in the camping store and I'm going to light him up.
Did you notice something about the way that hunter was talking? If you did, you're probably a loser like me and you did high school theater, because that is stereotypical, perfect theater kid voice.
This is ridiculous. I'm going to freeze my hands off before I get this thing lit.
Theater kid voice is where you start enunciating so well, you start wearing scarves and Jack Skellington t-shirts. It's so fun looking up these actors, and it turns out, yep, that guy was a big theater guy before he nailed this role. I mean, this is great. It's the first scene in the movie, and it's supposed to be two rugged hunters talking to each other, and it sounds like an episode of Frasier. This is where we see our first ice spider.
That's impossible. Stand still, you son of a...
And of course they miss because they haven't been practicing their aim. They've been spending all day reciting Othello and talking about which Twilight characters they identify with most. It's good this film didn't take place in the Deep South, because it would be a 5-minute long film. Some southern guy would see that spider, pull back his bow, and go home to his wife saying, "Look, honey, I just shot a chicken with 8 drumsticks." So they run away, and let me tell you, they run away exactly like theater majors would run away.
Wait! Bob! Bob!
And you know they did a bunch of takes of that fall, and you know he was willing to sacrifice his body for $75 because he's a thespian, goddammit. Then they walk through a bunch of Spirit Halloween decorations, they both get killed, and the movie starts.
Oh.
So this movie from this point on has a real desire to be an 80s ski homage. But those movies had slightly better funding, so instead of people in their early 20s in sports cars ready to carve up the slopes, we get a bunch of 40-year-olds in a school bus.
$300 cell phone and I can't get a signal.
I don't want to make fun of any of these actors, but the big point is all of them are trying to go to the Olympics, and I gotta say, the only competition they seem to be having is against time itself. So we have this young, cocky, up-and-coming skier who is like 35 years old, who's ready to prove himself. And he has a conversation with this other guy, and this is where we get an awesome example of something that occurs a lot in this film. There are multiple times where actors in the same scene are putting in vastly different effort in their acting.
You want to go to the Olympics, Chad?
I am going to the Olympics.
Not the way you've been training, Chad.
Excuse me?
Look, there's 100 guys across this country that would love to take your spot on this team. That's why we're not going to Aspen. For the next 2 weeks, all you're going to do is ski. That's it.
And don't get me wrong, I am not trying to insult these actors. If you gave me $100 a week, I don't think I'm going to try to put in a Charlton Heston performance. These movies are the perfect example of only work as much as they pay you. That guy saw his paycheck and went, "You are not getting any facial expressions for this amount of money, and I respect that." Then we meet our protagonist, Dash Dashel. He's an overqualified ski instructor with an accent I cannot place.
Mrs. Stewart, it's like this. It's like a slice of pizza, you know?
Pepperoni or sausage?
Right now, I wish it was Hawaiian.
It's somewhere between Surfer Bro and Miles Davis. He has a love interest who is a scientist that works at the spider lab.
But tell me, what brings you out in the sun today? Ski lesson, maybe? Because I'm free for the next couple of hours.
Thank you, but I'm all finished. I really appreciate it, but I'm pretty busy.
And this is supposed to be like a cute, flirty sort of back and forth, but there are moments in this film where he gets so horny for her, it becomes like a crime.
You want to go out to dinner sometime? I could show you my scars.
Oh, thank you. But seriously, I'm completely swamped right now.
The younger skiers recognize Dash, and he goes through the story about how he was one of the best skiers, but then broke his leg. And for some reason, the younger skiers hate him for that.
Broke my leg in the Olympic trials, and that was it. Took 4 operations and a pound of titanium before I could walk straight.
And now you're teaching posers on a bunny slope. Awesome.
They're like, "Oh, you hurt yourself doing the thing that we did now? You should die." And a younger skier challenges him down the mountain, and Dash loses because he gets PTSD, and the younger skier is like, "Yeah, suck it, old man." You've had a really hard life, and I hate you for it. Now we see the scientist going to the science lab. Earlier, she told Dash she can't explain to him what she does because it's too technical.
What do you guys do up there at the lab, anyway?
It's all very technical. You probably wouldn't understand it even if I explained it.
And by too technical, she means I look at pictures of spiders on paper all day. Now, this movie is made for someone who's watching the SYFY channel at midnight and is on sleeping pills, so they can't stop reminding you that there are spiders in this movie. There's spiders in the manila envelope. There are spiders as the backgrounds of the computers in the lab. I just picture the scientist walking through this lab, looking at the picture of the spider and being like, "Yep, that is a spider. I'm going to write that down." "Doctor, I'm sorry if this is too technical, but it seems like these spiders are getting big as hell."
You accelerated the growth rate.
So she goes into the lab and realizes all of her coworkers have been killed by spiders. And she gives a reaction as if she found a regular-sized spider in her bedroom.
Oh, God!
I want to say this. I think her acting makes a lot more sense for this movie because right after this happens, a person actually gives it their all in a performance, and it is so weird. She walks up to her coworker in a cocoon who had his legs taken by a spider, and he's like going for it.
Get out! She's coming back. She's hungry.
And it's just so funny watching him be like, "The spiders took my legs," and her being like, "That sucks."
She took my legs.
This is actually one of the most fun parts of this movie because some of the acting is so phoned in that it gives this sort of avant-garde feel to the film. It's as though we're transported to a world where giant spiders are killing people, but it's an alternate reality where that doesn't really matter all that much. We see that later on as the spiders just start killing people at the ski resort, and the resort owner delivers this perfect line.
Come on, Doc. Tell me I'm hallucinating.
It's happening for real, Frank.
So now the military gets called in, and a bunch of military guys with a scientist who just looks absolutely dazzling go into the lab. Yeah, I'm sorry we couldn't buy better cages for the spiders. I spent all of our money on Armani. So we get the scene where the military guys are storming the building. We get some really cool gun work. This one guy looks around like he's reconsidering every part of his life. Why am I a soldier? America hasn't fought a just war in our lifetime. Why am I taking orders from a scientist in Gucci boots? There's also this one soldier who's like really skinny, and I love to imagine he's the son of the producer of this movie. Like, imagine using nepotism to get a role in Ice Spiders. Nepotism in sci-fi movies needs to be stopped. That role should not go to that man. It should go to a guy they find at a bus stop like every other actor in the movie. Meanwhile, Dash and a park ranger go to try to find the two hunters that went missing.
Look, Frank, if you could spare Dash, I'm sure we could find him in a few hours.
If you're wondering why a park ranger would ask a ski instructor to help him on official business, shut up. We're not getting into that stuff with this movie. We're having fun. In the car, they have some of the most robotic locker room talk I've ever heard.
What about Doc? Doc Summers, you ever seen her?
What about her?
Well, nothing. I just wondered if you knew anything about her, that's all.
I know she's smart. And hot.
Now, I'm not saying guys aren't gross. I've heard way hornier things being said about a woman man to man. But if those things were delivered like this, I would jump out of the car. So they find the bodies, and the spiders find them, and one of the spiders eats the trooper's face off. That's what you get for talking about women like that. We got a social justice warrior spider right there. Cancel him, queen. So Dash tries to get out of there, but there is a spider in his way, and we have seen these spiders dodge arrows and bullets. So there is no way Dash can just hit this spider with the snowmobile and blow it to pieces. Sorry, I kind of forgot what kind of movie we were watching here. Now all hell is broken loose back at the resort. The prodigy skiers, who are all 40 years old, are stuck in a shed.
What are we going to do?
We're gonna stay here is what we're gonna do until they leave. What?
And they watch as the bus driver and two other people try to make a run for the bus and then get killed by 3 spiders who are waiting right next to the bus.
They're not gonna make it. No, he's gonna make it.
Oh my god!
But don't worry, the owner of the resort comes to their help and he devises a genius plan. Let's do exactly what those other guys did.
You gotta get us out of here.
I will. Is everybody ready to make a run for it? Let's go! Go!
Just run through the parking lot. And they make it to the bus, but they need the keys. And they have to pick the fastest guy to go get the keys from the recently deceased bus driver.
Once we get this thing started, we're out of here.
And he displays his speed by running at a very brisk jog to and from the body. There is literally zero sprinting here. Oh, how much are you paying me again? Oh, okay, yeah, you're gonna get like an old woman at a turkey trot level run here. Also, they're like still being mean to this guy.
Come on! This isn't brain surgery!
Did you hear what they said? This isn't brain surgery. This guy is getting keys to save your life, and you're just sitting on the bus safely going, hey, way to get the keys, dumbass. Dash makes it back to the ski resort, and we learn Dash was in the Marines, which, sure, why not?
Who put you in charge?
Those things out there and 12 years in the Marines, unless you want the job.
They didn't need to put that Dash was in the Marines for this movie, and it brings up such a weird question because Dash was like an Olympic-level skier, and then he shattered his leg. So either he shattered his leg and then did 12 years in the Marines, which that's unlikely because he's clearly still hurt, or what I like to think, he did a tour of duty when he was 11 years old. I'm going to fight the Taliban. We're going to find weapons of mass destruction. I don't know why my kid voice sounds like Elmer Fudd. But back to our hero. There's a little bit of a kerfuffle. A spider breaks in to the lodge, kills a husband and his wife, but luckily Dash kills the spider with the head of a deer.
Race over, ugly. You lose.
It's dead! It's dead!
Now, you would think after seeing this couple killed and hours before seeing like 12 other people killed, Dash would take a solemn moment here to collect himself.
Hey, Doc. Nice rack.
Imagine not only making a joke after you see 2 people die, but also being horny. Oh, actually, that would be a good alternative line for that scene. Sorry, I'm a little horny. Dash, we just saw 28 people lose their lives. Well, quite frankly, my dear, I'd like to have sex with you. So we learn why the government was making the spiders.
Our experiments were always geared toward defensive purposes. Spider silk is an amazing material with unlimited industrial uses.
See, spiders' webs have really important practical use in military application. And instead of trying to make synthetic versions of that web, we just decide to make big-ass spiders. So we need to kill these spiders, right? So Dash decides to lure them into a trap by skiing down the mountain. And it rocks. They dump a bunch of spider food, so Dash leads them into the spider food, and then the spiders get distracted by the spider food. You might ask, why not just release the spider food? The spiders really like it and can sense it from a very long way away. And to you I say, shut up. So at the very end, it turns out that the scientist guy was also in the military. And him and Dash get in a big fight over whether to kill the last spider or keep it alive. Now, I want you to turn away because this fight gets really, really violent. It's between 2 guys who used to be in the military, so they know a lot of moves, and it gets very crazy.
We're insane! Man, get out of my face.
What branch of the military teaches that kind of combat, huh, guys? Stop being mean to me. And they tussle, and the scientist guy gets eaten by a spider.
Help me!
And then the military comes in and takes the last spider out. So now these characters are left in such a brutal position. Hours before, they were on a happy ski trip, and now they have seen over 30 people die in front of them at the hands of spiders that they now can't talk about. So, of course, they get together and commiserate over the horrors they have just witnessed.
Man, that was the baddest skiing I've seen in my entire life.
Totally epic.
Dude, you still got it, man.
Yeah, I thought it was a 4.
Well, I guess I can still rip, huh? Why, one of you punks want to race?
Sorry, I forgot how important skiing is. So why is Ice Spiders worth the watch? First of all, it's very interesting watching a low-budget action movie because costs need to be cut somewhere. When you're watching a Michael Bay movie, they're just like, oh yeah, we can blow up a country. But for Ice Spiders, they need to be creative, and they were. For instance, I don't know if you noticed this, but every scene in Ice Spiders takes place during the day. There are no nighttime shoots, and that's because shooting at nighttime is a lot more expensive. The extra lighting is expensive, and the camera crew that you're using for this movie needs to go to their second job, which is obviously shooting porn. Also, I don't know how to say this in a more intelligent way. It's just fun. I like watching a movie that's about what the title is. I think they should do that more. They should have called Oppenheimer Bomb Guy Gets Sad. Anyway, one more thing before I go. Please subscribe and turn notifications on. It really helps me grow my channel. And if you really want to support me, come see me do stand-up comedy. I'm going to these cities. That's worth the watch. I'm Dan Donohue, and as always, have a good one.